All right, let's dive in. Today we're heading to Nairobi, Kenya. We're using this source, living in Nairobi as a foreigner, to get a real sense of what it's like to live there, not just visit.
Yeah, Nairobi, it's more than just a safari stop. It's actually a pretty major hub in East Africa, especially for like finance and tech and stuff. That's why it's attracting, more and more expats these days.
So, like, it's a real city, not just like a tourist destination. I
hmm
mean, the guide even talks about seeing giraffes on your commute. How cool is that? But okay, before we get lost in giraffe daydreams, let's start with the basics. Where do people actually live in Nairobi?
Well, the guide, it mentions a few popular spots for expats. Like you've got Kilimani, Westlands, and Karen. Each one's got its own like vibe, They attract different types of people, really.
Okay, so Kilimani, Westlands, and Karen. What are the main differences? Give me the inside scoop.
So Westlands, that's where the nightlife is, like the fast-paced lifestyle. A lot of expats, they're drawn to that energy. Kilimani is more laid back. It's kind of like a mix of residential and commercial stuff, so maybe good for families, I don't know. And then you've got Karen, which is known for its larger properties, more quiet. It tends to attract, well, a more, affluent crowd.
Sounds like there's something for everyone then.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing each neighborhood comes with a different price tag. Speaking of which, the guide mentions Nairobi can be both surprisingly affordable, but also surprisingly expensive. How does that even work?
Well, it's all about knowing the local scene. The guide really emphasizes that local markets, you can get amazing deals there, especially for fresh produce and things. If you kind of, embrace the Kenyan cuisine, you can live really well without like breaking the bank.
Okay, I'm all about trying new foods.
Yep.
And speaking of which, there's this part in the guide that mentions mandazi. It's like a Kenyan donut, and they're like less than $1. I'm already sold.
Oh, yeah. You'd love the food scene, I think. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's about how much you rely on like imported stuff, right? Sticking to local options makes a huge difference in your budget.
So I can feast on mandazi and explore local markets. Sounds good to me, but cost of living isn't just about food, right? What about rent and transportation?
Right. Rent in those those popular expat areas we talked about. It can be pretty pricey. But if you're willing to venture out a little further, you can find more affordable options. As for transportation, owning a car, that can get expensive. But the guide mentions matatus. They're like local minibuses, super cheap, and a fun way to experience the city.
Matatus, gotta love a good, local experience. Maybe not during rush hour though, huh? The guy did mention that traffic can be a bit rough.
Oh yeah, traffic in Nairobi it's infamous. Definitely something to think about when you're choosing where to live and work.
Location, location, location. Okay, so we've covered the neighborhoods, the cost of living, but there's one thing that I'm sure everyone's thinking about when it comes to living in a new city, especially one like Nairobi: safety.
Yeah, that's definitely a valid concern. And while the guide doesn't, try to sugarcoat anything, it does stress that a lot of areas are pretty safe,
Mhm.
especially if you take, just basic precautions like sticking to well-lit areas at night and using reputable transportation services.
That common sense goes a long way, no matter where you are in the world. But the guide also talks about the warmth and hospitality of the
Right.
Kenyan people.
Oh, absolutely. Kenyans are incredibly welcoming and friendly.
Hmm.
Really. Don't let safety concerns like overshadow that. It's about finding that balance, being aware, but also, open to experiencing the culture.
That's a great point. Being smart about safety, but not letting fear, dictate your experience. Which leads us perfectly into the next topic, actually: culture. The guide describes Nairobi as a kaleidoscope of
Mhm.
cultures, which sounds incredible. But what makes it so unique? It's not just like a generic melting pot, is it?
No, no, it's much more than that. It's like think about it, Nairobi sits at this crossroads of history. You've got like ancient trading routes, colonial influences, and this modern wave of globalization. It all comes together to create this like incredibly dynamic and diverse cultural scene.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It's not just different cultures existing side by
Yeah.
side. It's how they've interacted and shaped each other over time.
Exactly. And you see it everywhere in the
Yeah.
music, the food, the art, even the way people interact. It's this constant like blending and evolving that makes Nairobi's culture so fascinating.
Wow, that's amazing. So we've got this like blend of history and global influences creating something totally new. But let's get a little more specific. What are some of the like must-have cultural experiences the guide mentions?
Well, there's something for everyone, really. If you love like traditional crafts and things, you have to check out the Maasai markets. And if you're into contemporary art, Nairobi's got a really thriving gallery scene, showcasing some like incredible Kenyan artists.
Okay, so we've got markets, galleries. What about something truly unique to Nairobi?
Well, the guide mentions Nairobi National Park. Imagine this. You're having your morning coffee, and there's a giraffe just like strolling by in the distance.
Wait, a national park in the city? That's incredible. I mean, in most cities, a pigeon sighting is considered wildlife.
Exactly. It's a testament to like Nairobi's unique balance of urban life and raw nature. You can literally go on safari within the city limits.
Okay, Nairobi National Park is going straight to the top of my bucket list. Yeah. But let's say you're not a wildlife enthusiast. What else does Nairobi have to offer?
Well, if you're a history buff, you'll love the Karen Blixen Museum. It's the former home of the Danish author who wrote Out of Africa.
Oh, I've seen the movie. Meryl Streep, Robert Redford. Classic.
Yeah, it gives you a glimpse into colonial Kenya and the life of this remarkable woman. Speaking of remarkable, the guide also talks about Nyama Choma.
Nyama Choma. That sounds intriguing.
Oh, it's basically a Kenyan barbecue experience. Think like delicious roasted meat, smoky flavors. It's a must try for any, serious foodie. You'll find Nyama Choma spots all over the city.
Okay, picture this. Morning safari in Nairobi National Park. Afternoon feasting on Nyama Choma. That's a pretty epic day.
It sounds like a perfect Nairobi day to me. And then for those who like to keep the party going, there's the nightlife. We already talked about Westlands.
No.
But there are tons of other like vibrant areas. The Junction, Ngong Road. You'll find everything from live music to, DJs and clubs.
So much to do. But let's be practical for a moment. The guide mentions Kenyan time. What exactly does that mean? I'm a bit of a stickler for punctuality, so I'm a little nervous about this one.
Oh, don't worry. It's not about like disrespecting time or anything. It's more of a like cultural difference in how people approach schedules and deadlines, I guess. Things might run a little later than planned, a bit more, flexible.
So it's more of a like go with the flow kind of vibe.
Exactly. It's about embracing a more relaxed pace of life. Something you'll find throughout Kenyan culture, really.
Okay, I can get on board with that. Flexibility and going with the flow sounds like a good life lesson in general. But speaking of practicalities, what about traffic? The guide mentioned it can be a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, traffic is it's a major issue in Nairobi, especially during like peak hours. That's why choosing the right, location is so crucial. Factor in your commute, consider different transportation options, maybe even, living closer to work if possible.
Smart planning is key. Now, another practical consideration, language. I know English is widely spoken in Kenya, but will I need to, like, brush up on my Swahili?
Well, English will get you by just fine. It's an official language there. But learning some basic Swahili is a great way to, like, connect with the culture.
Plus, it's always fun to learn a new language.
Absolutely. Even just a few phrases can make a big difference in how, how people perceive you. It shows respect and a willingness to engage with their culture.
Okay, so we've talked about, like, the highs, right? The incredible culture, the food, the wildlife. But the guide also mentions some challenges, like we talked about traffic. What are some other things that, expats should be prepared for?
Well, bureaucracy can be a bit of a hurdle. Things might move a little slower than you're used to. The guide suggests, like, starting any visa applications early and maybe even, consulting a local immigration expert.
Solid advice. So it's about being prepared for a different pace of life, both in terms of, daily interactions and administrative processes.
Right. It's important to, like, manage your expectations and be patient. But honestly, that's part of the adventure, isn't it? Embracing the unexpected is all part of the experience.
So it sounds like Nairobi really like tests your patience and your adaptability. But I'm kind of drawn to that challenge, honestly. Earlier you mentioned that living in Nairobi can be a transformative experience. What does that actually mean for someone who's thinking about, taking the leap?
It's more than just like checking things off a to-do list. It's about immersing yourself in a different pace of life, a different way of thinking. You're confronted with new perspectives, new ways of solving problems, new ways of seeing the world.
So it's almost like a crash course in personal growth.
Exactly. You're pushed outside your comfort zone. You're forced to like question assumptions you didn't even realize you had, and in that
Yeah.
process you learn and grow in ways you couldn't have anticipated.
I can see how that would be both like exciting and a bit intimidating. What kind of growth are we talking about here?
It could be professional, like as you navigate a different work culture. It could be personal as you learn to connect with people from different backgrounds. And it could even be a deeper, more spiritual growth as you gain a new appreciation for life's challenges and beauty.
Wow. That's deep. It sounds like Nairobi has this like unique power to shake things up, make you reevaluate everything you thought you knew.
It does, and that can be uncomfortable for sure. But real growth often comes from those moments of discomfort, right? When
Yeah.
we're challenged to step outside of ourselves.
So this isn't just about like having fun in a new city. It's about challenging yourself, pushing your boundaries.
Right. It's about seeking adventure, not just in the external world, but within yourself.
This has been so eye-opening. It's making me think about Nairobi in a whole new light.
That's the beauty of, diving deep into a topic. You uncover layers and perspectives you wouldn't have otherwise considered.
So for our listener who provided the guide, living in Nairobi as a foreigner, what would you say is the most important takeaway?
I'd say if you're looking for a predictable, comfortable expat experience, Nairobi might not be the right fit. But if you're craving adventure, cultural immersion, and a chance for like profound personal growth, then Nairobi is calling your name.
It sounds like an incredible experience,
Oh,
full of challenges and rewards.
it is. It's a city that will push you to your limits, surprise you with its beauty and complexity, and ultimately leave a lasting mark on your soul. Who knows? You might even see that giraffe on your morning commute.
All right, that's a wrap on our deep dive into life in Nairobi. We've covered everything from the practicalities to the transformative potential of this amazing city.
Hopefully, we've given you a taste of what awaits in this, vibrant East African metropolis.
Now it's up to you. Do your own research, explore the resources mentioned in the guide, and maybe even start planning your own Nairobi adventure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
So it sounds like Nairobi really tests like your patience and adaptability.
Yeah.
But I know I'm kind of drawn to that challenge,
Yeah.
honestly. Earlier you mentioned that living in Nairobi can be a transformative experience. What does that actually mean for someone who's thinking about, taking the leap?
It's more than just checking things off a to-do list. It's about immersing yourself in a different pace of life, a different way of thinking. You're confronted with new perspectives, new ways of solving problems, new ways of seeing the world, really.
So it's almost like a crash course in personal growth.
Exactly. You're pushed outside your comfort zone, forced to question assumptions you didn't even realize you had. And in that process, you learn and grow in ways you couldn't have anticipated.
I can see how that would be like exciting and a bit intimidating at the same time. What kind of growth are we talking about here?
Well, it could be professional as you navigate a different work culture. It could be personal as you learn to connect with people from different backgrounds. It could even be uh, a deeper, more spiritual growth, I guess, as you gain a new appreciation for life's challenges and beauty.
Wow, that's deep. It sounds like Nairobi has this unique power to shake things up, make you reevaluate everything you thought you knew.
Yeah, it does. And that can be uncomfortable for sure. But, real growth often comes from those moments of discomfort when we're challenged to step outside of ourselves.
So this isn't just about like having fun in a new city. It's about challenging yourself, pushing your boundaries.
Right. It's about seeking adventure, not just in the external world, but within yourself.
This has been so eye-opening. It's making me think about Nairobi in a whole new light.
That's the beauty of diving deep into a topic. You uncover layers and perspectives you wouldn't have considered otherwise.
So for our listener who provided the guide living in Nairobi as a foreigner, what would you say is the most important takeaway?
I'd say if you're looking for a predictable, comfortable expat experience, Nairobi might not be the right fit. But if you're craving adventure, cultural immersion, and a chance for profound personal growth, then Nairobi is calling your name.
It sounds like an incredible experience, full of challenges and rewards.
It is. It's a city that will push you to your limits, surprise you with its beauty and complexity, and ultimately leave a lasting mark on your soul. Who knows? You might even see that giraffe on your morning commute.
All right, that's a wrap on our deep dive into life in Nairobi. We've covered everything from the practicalities to the transformative potential of this amazing city.
Hopefully, we've given you a taste of what awaits in this vibrant East African metropolis.
Now it's up to you. Do your own research, explore the resources mentioned in the guide, and maybe even start planning your own Nairobi adventure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.